Kimi K3 just dropped and is going head-to-head with Claude Opus 5, Anthropic's top reasoning model. Moonshot's own launch post admits Kimi K3 trails Opus 5 overall, which is a wild thing to say about your own product. Both models launched in July 2026, both run thinking by default, and both are live right now. We're comparing Kimi K3 versus Claude Opus 5 across 4 real tests: reasoning, context window, pricing, and latency, and every claim traces to a verified source, no vendor spin. The model that loses on raw reasoning might actually be the smarter pick for your budget and your workload. The final verdict surprises most people, so stick around. Who actually cares about this comparison? Developers, startups, and teams running AI at any real scale, because picking the wrong model costs money every single month. Kimi K3 is 40% cheaper on input tokens than Claude Opus 5, but Opus 5 put up an ARC AGI 3 score no other model came close to matching. And that gap matters a lot depending on what you're building. Test 1 multi-step reasoning. This is the one that really matters if you're using AI to solve hard problems, write complex code, or run agents that need to sync through many steps without falling apart. If a model can't reason well, everything else is beside the point. So here's what the data actually shows. On ARC AGI 3, Claude Opus 5 put up a score roughly 3 times higher than any other published model, and it doubled its predecessor Opus 4.8 on Frontier Bench. Kimi K3 has no published figure on either benchmark. These are vendor-reported numbers from Anthropic, not independent tests. And Moonshot's own blog flat out says Kimi K3 trails Opus 5 overall, which is a candid admission you don't see often. Claude Opus 5 takes test 1, and it's not close. Every benchmark cited points the same way, and even Kimi K3's own team agrees. Score: Kimi K3 0, Claude Opus 5 1. If raw reasoning accuracy is what you care most about, Opus 5 is already ahead, and we've only run one test. Test 2 context window. This one matters if you're feeding the model giant documents, long code bases, or anything that won't fit in a smaller window. Because a bigger context means the model can see more of your data at once without you chunking it manually. So how big are these windows, and what do the limits actually cost you? Both models landed exactly 1,048,576 tokens. Same window size. Look closer, and you'll see Kimi K3 lets output reach the full 1 million tokens, while Claude Opus 5 caps output at 128,000. Kimi K3 also caches automatically with no write fee, while Opus 5 charges between $6.25 and $10 per million tokens just to write cache entries. This test is a tie, and a real one. Window size is identical, and there are no independent retrieval tests to separate them on actual performance inside that window. Score stays at Kimi K3 0, Claude Opus 5 1, with 1 tied. The window is the same, but how you use it and what it costs you is where things start to split. The gap depends heavily on what you're doing. For very long generated outputs, Kimi K3's full 1 million token output cap is a real win. For short, repeated prompts, Opus 5's 512 token cache threshold makes caching practical in ways Kimi K3 doesn't spell out. It comes down to your workload. Test 3 API pricing. This hits your credit card every month, so it's not abstract. Running thousands of requests a day means a 40% price difference on tokens is a real budget line, and the cost surprises are worth knowing before you commit. Kimi K3 charges $3 per million input tokens and $15 per million output tokens. Claude Opus 5 charges $5 input and $25 output. That's a 40% gap on both sides, confirmed via Open Router and official docs. Kimi K3 is thinking always at launch, so every output token, including reasoning, traces cost at full $15 rate, while Claude Opus 5 lets you dial effort down to save money. Kimi K3 takes test 3 on price, and the numbers are verified. 40% cheaper on input, 40% cheaper on output, and no cache write fee on top of that. Score: Kimi K3 1, Claude Opus 5 1 with 1 tied, all square now, which makes the remaining tests matter. Test 4, response latency. Speed matters when you're building anything user-facing or running a pipeline that chains model calls together. A slow model that makes you wait 4 minutes for a first token is a production problem, even if the answer is great. So here's what we actually know and what we don't. Artificial analysis measured Kimi K3 at 32.1 tokens per second with a time to first token of 252 seconds at a 10,000 token input, over 4 minutes before you see anything because it's always running max reasoning. Claude Opus 5 has no published independent latency figure at all. These are different test setups, so a real apples to apples comparison isn't possible. This test is a tie because you can't compare what you can't measure side by side. No independent data covers both models under the same workload, so no winner gets called. Final score: Kimi K3 1, Claude Opus 5 1 with 2 tied. The latency picture is genuinely incomplete right now, and anyone telling you otherwise is guessing. The real difference here is flexibility. Claude Opus 5 lets you set effort to low, medium, high, or extra high, so latency scales with how hard the task actually is. Kimi K3 is locked to max effort at launch. which means for latency sensitive work, Opus 5's fast mode, claiming up to 2.5 times the output speed, is a genuine option Kimi K3 simply doesn't have yet. Where Kimi K3 wins? No hedging. It's 40% cheaper on both input and output at standard API rates. $3 versus $5 on input, 15 versus 25 on output. Caching is automatic with no write fee. Output can reach the full 1 million token window, which Opus 5 can't match. And it's open weights, so you can self-host it on your own infrastructure. Where Claude Opus 5 wins, its ARC AGI3 score was roughly triple any other published model. And even Kimi K3's own team concedes Opus 5 is ahead overall. Adjustable effort levels, spanning low through extra high, mean you only pay for the reasoning depth a task needs. Fast mode pushes up to 2.5 times the output speed, and cache kicks in at just 512 tokens, which is practical for shorter repeated prompts. Decision rule is straightforward. Cost-sensitive workloads, high volume scale, or a need to self-host on your own servers, Kimi K3 is the better call. Highest reasoning accuracy available, a price premium you can absorb, or flexible latency controls for production. Claude Opus 5 is where you want to be. Pick based on your budget and your accuracy floor, not on hype.